Hey guys, what's up? My name's David. This is my first real time being in front of a camera, so forgive me if I'm a hair awkward on this. But anyways, I'm doing this as a New Year's resolution for 2019. In addition, I'm trying to also read 52 books in 52 weeks as an additional New Year's resolution. So I'm trying to kill two birds with one stone here. So back during my formal schooling, I really wasn't much of a reader at all. In fact, I really hated it. I dreaded the literature classes and writing essays and what have you. So it's almost surprising to myself that I'm starting to like reading again. But I think a lot of it has to do with like the subject matter. In school, we always read like fiction and stories from different historical periods and what have you. And recently I started picking up some nonfiction books, just kind of diving into different topics that interested me, and I've honestly become a little bit hooked. It seems like a really powerful thing, just being able to take somebody's multiple years of work and kind of digest it within a 1 week period and really let your mind create a bunch of new ideas and take what you learn from different books and put them together. So that's kind of the reasoning behind wanting to do this one book a week challenge. Um, I guess we'll see how it goes. Now, on to what I'm actually reading in 2019, at least for the first month, January, in my first four books. In fact, I've actually finished reading the first one, and I'll try not to spoil too much of it. I'll just kind of give like a little simple review here. And I'm two-thirds through my second book, and it's only, January 5th? So I guess that's good so far. All right. So for my first book here, I have a Astrophysics for People in a Hurry by Neil deGrasse Tyson. This was a book that got a lot of attention earlier this past year. I think it was released in 2018. I know it was on the New York Times bestseller list for like multiple weeks straight. It seemed very accessible of a book, and it was. The premise behind it is just to lay out like a lot of the groundwork and kind of perk your interest in astrophysics. Um, it covers a lot of topics very briefly, from dark energy, dark matter, time, and even gets a little bit more abstract. I think it touches on a little bit of multiverse theory and kind of gets playful with those ideas a little bit, but in a way that's very accessible. Neil has a lot of humor with his writing, so it's not like reading through a textbook at all. It was actually super interesting, but I think it I would have preferred if it went a little bit more in depth on certain topics, but that clearly wasn't the intention of the book. It is a short read of like 100 and just over 200 pages, 200 like 9 pages here. But it is intended, I think, for people who really aren't avid readers, and it's kind of just like an entry level book. It's fun, it's light, and it does provide a lot of information on how we measure certain phenomena, how we came about them, whether it was accidental or on purpose, somebody looking for them. So yeah, it's a super great read, and a super easy way to start off with the first book of the year. I actually finished off in 2 afternoons. All right, on to the second book. I have The Denial of Death by Ernest Becker. And this is a super interesting book. It's a little bit more of a dense read. I'm about two-thirds the way through it now. Started reading at the end of 2018, so I guess that's kind of cheating for my New Year's resolution, but I'll allow it, and that's what matters. It kind of is a summary of a lot of different psychoanalytic thinkers, from Freud to Rank to Fromm and a few others here and there. I know Jung's in here and whatnot. But it's really talking about how modern man, or I guess all of humanity, kind of creates different illusions to stop thinking about death, whether it's social norms and culture or whether it's even religion. And it goes into a lot of the pros and cons and different ways these different psychoanalyzers, these men thought about death and dying. So it's very interesting, and I definitely recommend it, especially if you're interested with how we perceive things, how we make lies up to ourselves and just how to kind of live a happy life. For my third book, for my third book here, this is Phantoms in the Brain by Ramasandran and Sandra Blacksley. Hope I did not butcher that. But it is a book all about different mental illnesses, which is kind of super interesting. I think it touches on subjects from like phantom limbs, when people get like an amputation, but like they can still feel pain in the body part that was amputated. And it really just dives deep on like a lot of different phenomena within the brain. And I think from what I was reading of different reviews of this book, it seems like each chapter is like almost like a miniature book, or at least like a little fun way to talk about an individual problem. And there's a total of 12 chapters in here as well. So you do get a fairly in-depth look at a bunch of different problems and issues within the brain. So that should be cool. And finally, I have Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. This is by Yuval Noah Harari. Hope I didn't butcher that one as well. And it's kind of a take on early humanity, where Homo sapiens came from, how we developed, how we came about culture, and I think even goes throughout like the future a little bit, like talks about like the history or the rather the future of humankind, as well as like the singularity and different phenomena that could happen going forward. And so I've heard really, really great things about this book, but I've also heard a few critics talk about it, saying that it's a little bit reductionist and jumps to a few conclusions. So I have to take this with a grain of salt. And yeah, just really looking forward to this one as well. Anyways, so that was a brief introduction of myself, I guess, to this YouTube channel, to making videos as a whole, as well as a brief introduction to, I guess, a little bit of what you can see on my channel here, and what I'm planning to do. In the future, I like to make some different book reviews, maybe individual book reviews. In addition, branching out into some of my other hobbies as well, whether it be just travel, videography, or even montages or different tips and tricks regarding travel. I'm pretty into like minimalism and one bagging and kind of traveling light as well. In addition, I have a few other hobbies that you might be able to see here. So yeah, if you want to drop something in the comments below, let me know what you'd like to see out of the channel. I would love to keep doing this, keep you up to date on my challenge, as well as branch out to new topics as well. So yeah, I'll see you guys later.